Welcome back. Welcome to the session 2 of our symposium. If everybody settle down, we'd like to start now. Welcome to session 2. We have with us the chairs for this session, Dr. Madhura Dutta and Dr. Shahul Ameen. And to felicitate the chairs, I'd like to call Miss Nirupma Mondal, ma'am. Dr. Madhura Dutta is a culture and development specialist working in the area of safeguarding and promoting intangible cultural heritage and cultural diversity through community development initiatives for over 2 decades. More recently, she has been working in the intersection of culture and climate change. She authored a book on creative economy and sustainable development, the context of Indian handicrafts. Ma'am, if you could come to the or it's fine. Yeah. Yeah, okay. And Dr. Shahul Ameen. Dr. Shahul Ameen is an assistant professor in the School of Gender and Livelihoods, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Hyderabad. His research interests include critical heritage studies, craft-based livelihoods, and the sociology of culture religion. Previously, he has taught in the Center of Heritage Management, Ahmedabad University, and was the first assistant editor of the Journal of Heritage Management. So I welcome you all to the session. We will start with the first paper. I request Asim Mondal to kindly come to the podium for his paper. You could also state your title of the paper and give a brief introduction. Thank you.
I think this is not the opening slide. This is slide one. This is the first slide. Okay. Just like this. So, good afternoon. Thank you, everyone present here. Thank you, chair of this session, Madhura ji and Shahul sir. And thank you, INTACH, to give me the opportunity to present my paper and to talk about Sundarbans, the UNESCO heritage site. I am Dr. Asim Mondal, working at Ramakrishna Mission Residential College, Narendrapur, under Calcutta University. I did my masters from JNU and my PhD from Calcutta University on Tagore's novels and short stories. So this is a 10 minutes time I have to present. Just for the sake of the presentation, I have made this PowerPoint, but I would like to say on this particular topic, Sundarbans, that we are trying to understand. And this is the first slide that is actually everybody understand. The first thing is that the Royal Bengal tiger, Royal Bengal tiger, and then the second one is Bono Bibi. Everybody used to, this is a very important deity for the people living in this huge archipelago. So it's our, and Sundarban is very close to Kolkata. In fact, I traced it in my paper that Kolkata is in fact the part of the Sundarbans. If you go to Kolkata, the ghats of Ganges, that you will get that trees. Those are mangrove forests even there. So and also that is the Bonobibi that I am showing here in this my presentation. If you go to the eastern part of the Ganga, which is the part of the Kolkata, you will see the deity Durga, and that Durga not with lion, it's with tiger. So tiger is actually associated with Bono Bibi. So those are the temples. Talk about that, and the estuaries, everything, the creek row, and all the names that is actually written by Sukumar Sen. You will get to understand that the names are very associated with the Sundarbans. Everything in the Ultodanga, all these things associated with that, it's a part of the Sundarbans. Then this is mangrove forests, and it's a huge mangrove forest. And what we understand the mangrove forest, this is a very special kind of forest, which is a holophyte forest. And the faulty decision of part of the East India Company to reclamation part and allow the people to reside there, the inhabitants there, the 54 islands there where actually people are living. And those islands are actually young islands. Before they are being they are actually in their formation period. So being a adult island, they are being given embankment, and because of that, what is happening right now? I'm an island. I'm born and brought up there. I know that day in and day out, what is happening? The high tide is coming, and when high tide is coming, they are actually taking all those siltation there, not in the island, but in the river itself. So day by day, river is becoming shallow and shallow and shallow, and because of that, when the cyclone actually arrives, then the water level of the river it rises, and the embankment was so very weak that it inundated it, flooded whole island, and whole the people living there, they have their own crops, they are being a huge received huge threat. And because the saline water, if once it get into the land, get into the agricultural land, then 3 to 4 years it will take to make it once again cultivable. So it's a huge threat. The Isla in 2009, then Amphan, recently Amphan, Yas, all these cyclones are coming and making huge threat for West Bengal, this Sundarbans. And another issue is altogether, which is very very interesting to study, that government, it's a government level. In 1980s, there was a project that people were given net to catch fish, the tiger prawn, and those fishes actually, you know uh, the women and their kids, they used to catch those the younger tiger prawn, and that tiger prawn, actually catching the tiger prawn disturbs the whole ecosystem, because this mangrove forest, they used to grow because of those are the seeds coming through high tide, and when the low tide came, they are actually stuck to the muds. And what is happening while you are catching the young tiger prawn with your kids in the morning, during the low tide, what is happening actually? Those seeds, they are getting into the deep into the the soil, and they are not getting up. So it is actually disturbing the whole mangrove forest. So mangrove is the natural shield for whole the archipelago and as well as the whole Calcutta, because it will the first time when the cyclone will come, this forest will protect the huge loss that is getting. So, and you can imagine that more than 1 crore people living in 18, stretching 18 blocks there. 18 blocks, almost 4 to 5, Lok Sabha constituencies, and, more than 20, Vidhan Sabha assemblies. So it's a huge people living there. The Sundarbans is a vast mangrove forest straddling India and Bangladesh. Our part is 1/3 of the whole Sundarbans, and 2/3 part is in Bangladesh, the Bakharganj area. And it is home to diverse flora and fauna, making it a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So this is India and West Bengal, and then the sanctuary, and there is also the buffer area that is reserved for the deep core forest, and the national park is also demarcated. It is close to sea. Okay. Then Sundarban region in the West Bengal divided into several parliamentary and the legislative assembly. I mean, just showing it very fast as the time is running out. And there is two things, is that one is from starting from Gangasagar to Hingalganj, the 18 blocks. Gangasagar is close to East Midnapur, and East Midnapur is talking the language which is close to Odisha. It's not the dialect of Bengali tongue, it's the dialect of Odisha tongue. And the close to Hingalganj, they are talking in the tongue which is close to Bangladeshi Khulna tongue. And Basanti Gosaba Island is very close to Kolkata because the Sialda Canning rail route. So because of that, the people who are used to want to go to Sundarbans, they used to go through Canning route. But there are 5 to 6 routes through Hingalganj area by Hasnabad local. Then through Science City you can go to Sundarbans, then Canning route, then Diamond Harbour route. So there are parts of Sagar Island, Sagar, Namkhana, Kagdi, Pathor Pratima, and these are Goshaba, Canning, Sandeskali 1, Sandeskali 2, then Hasnabad, Hingalganj. These are the areas in the Sundarbans, and these are the trees, Sundari, Gewa, and Goran, and these trees act as a natural coastal protectors. And the language is being getting hugely threatened because of standard Bengali language. The people going to the city, they are having their own, because of their job, they are actually assimilating and appropriating the typical standard Bengali language, and when they are coming back to their own motherland, they are not able to speak in their own tongue. That is a huge threat for the language to understand. And also culture, they have their own way of having food. Food is tamarind based food, which is very close to all the coastal regions of India, and which is not the food of the typical Calcutta's people, the people of the upper Hooghly region. So the food is very important, and sometimes it becomes the homogeneous food for the people, and they are actually losing gradually their distinct cuisine, distinct their festivals, their way of marriage, and also literature and the proverbs. Proverbs are very important because they have their own vertical language, their vertical festivals, vertical culture that is being threatened by the typical the power hegemony is there, that those are the dominant power, dominant cultures, dominant food habits, which are actually devouring the cultures, devouring everything in Sundarbans. Not only the nature is being threatened, but also the culture, history. Is a very rich history. That rich history is being threatened. That history goes back to the date of Alexander's. Okay, So that the Gangaridi people used to live there, and they are so very powerful that Alexander did not venture to that part of our country. So that's it from my and there are so many myths that has to be cleared, that people dying by tiger bite, or the tiger killed the people. It's not the most of the time, this is aquatic, like this crab is Sundarban. Crab is very important, and Sundarban is once justification that the name of the Sundarban comes from these crabs. It's a Sundari crab actually. Okay, Sundarban, from Samudra, then from there Sundar, and then crab, Sundarban. So there is another explanation is that Sundari tree, because the Sundari tree, the Sundarban is that, and because this is very very highly valuable crab, and it has a very very value for export. So that's why the people used to go there to catch crab, and inside the crab hole, there will be cobra, and there are so many snakes. And because of snake bite, most of the Sundarban people are being killed. And there is a government policy is that if the tiger killed a man, then they will get the compensation or pension like this. So that's why they used to say that they are killed by tiger. That's the issue altogether. And this is dolphin, the black dolphin. That's the local name is shushuk, and that's a huge threat. The people catching fish, and nowadays only 3 months, 6 months they are allowed to catch fish there. So tiger is there, and Royal Bengal tiger, which is there is every time you will get the newspaper news that the tiger is in the locality. But when a very strong tiger never goes to the locality, the only when they are in farm, they are pregnant, or they are being shot by the poachers, only then they went to the or goes to the locality. Otherwise they won't go. No, when they are not fit to the ecosystem, they will go. The crocodile, which is very important there, deer, spotted deer, boar. So it's also there are so many types of birds there. So cultural practices, traditional practices like sustainable honey collection, and when they collect honey, they used to put a mask, and mask is this like in the opposite side of their face, so the tiger, they should understand the tiger is coming. Okay, so this is Bonobibi puja, the worshipping of Bonobibi. How to collect the honey. So that's it. I have all talked about this. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Asim, for your paper. Now I request the second paper. Just a minute. Yeah. Now I request Parvati Poduval to kindly present your paper. You could also state your paper title and a brief introduction for yourself.
Good afternoon. I'm Parvati. I'm a conservation architect, and my paper title is Co-Learning with the Bidri Artisans, a case of Bidri colony as the intersection between heritage development and policy. So, a brief introduction to the craft. Bidri is originated in Bidar. Bidar is a district in North Karnataka, and the craft is of inlaying silver into an alloy of metal and copper, which is later developed into a black color using the soil of the fort, of the Bidar fort. And this particular craft developed in the 14th-15th century under a Persian influence, when some particular artisan came into the country and he popularized the art under the guidance of Bahmani dynasty. And Bidri particularly is a very valuable cultural aspect of the state itself, of the district. It is known for, the Bidar is known for Bidri. That's where it gets the name from. And it is, it has several accolades. One of them that Bidri has a GI tag for Bidar, and one district, one product. And also one of the artisans is a Padma Shri awardee. Bidri used to be, since it was taught in the 15th and 14th century, it was also taught in one of the historic madrasas called Mahmud Gawan Madrasa. It is an ASI monument right now, but then during the 15th century, when it was a university, Bidri was taught under the guidance of the royalty. So the artisan settlement, which is the site of the study, are two specific sites. One is where Bidri was historically placed in the historic city of Bidar, and the walled city, inside the walled city, on one of the main actual roads, which divides the walled city into four quadrants. And it was a historic marketplace for the artisans, and it was also one of the most prominent spaces for anybody who comes into the city. Later, during a developmental model that came up, the artisans were shifted out about 3 kilometers away from the historic city into a new cluster development called the Bidri colony. These are a few images of the Bidri colony, current condition. So when Bidri had developed, the craft developed through different time periods. Initially, it was artifacts or objects for royalty. Later, it slowly became utilitarian projects and products, and now it is your souvenirs. But during that period, Bidar had an influx of artisans because of the king, Bahmani king, and the Prime Minister, who made the space a mecca for the artisans. They made it very prominent. They made art and culture very important to be taught. So they taught their own local people how to produce the craft. And Bidri, when it evolved over time, the product particularly has several different cultural influences. It originates from something called mother of pearl in the Rangeen Mahal. Here the picture is similar to what you see on an object, black over silver, and then you have products that developed from different architectural monuments or different architectural monuments. So during the whole time period from 14th century to today, each dynasty, each time period, be it Bahmani, Mughals, British, or today, the craft has evolved. Although right now it is declining, but over the periods it has stayed. And it also has a relevance on the trade route. The raw material was being brought in from the west region, and also even though Bidri originated in Bidar, it has travelled all across India and taken different forms. Like in Lucknow, it's called zarnish, or in Hyderabad, it has a different form of. They don't use pure silver, but they use some similar material that gives the look of a Bidri product. And today, while the object has become showpieces, it has a wide range. I met artisans who have made a huge panels in Bangalore airport. complete of Bidri art. The whole wall is covered with it. So right now, anything can be made in Bidri since it's a metal craft. And while historically they were flourishing because of the space they were in, today the particular space where they were in is important because of the peripheral spaces. There were important religious spaces, educational khankas were there, madrasas were there, all along the same route. But during the urban development, widening of the roads that was taken place, the historic parts of the historic settlement has actually been eradicated since they widened the road. So you can't see how the actual craft clusters or the workshops were. Now they are modified spaces. You can't know what they were historically. So when they relocated the space, this is your this is the historic city from where from Kusumgali they went to Bidri colony, which is very on the outskirts of the main city. The while Bidri colony initially was a development model just for Bidri workers, it was called Bidri colony. Right now there are lidkar, there are leatherwork people, there are woodwork artisans, all developing around the same space. So this is a brief of how the products are made. Metal alloy, then there's a mold that is made, and from the mold how they buff it, polish it, then the main craft is of inlaying the silver and then blackening the surface. So Bidri has a very extensive value chain. From molding, you get all the materials from the local craft, local market. But for inlaying silver since it's a costly product, it is being given by the government to the artisans right now on a subsidized cost. But even that subsidized cost is not enough to generate more revenue for the artisans themselves. So it has 4 steps: molding, engraving and inlaying, then they blacken the surface, then when the finished product is there, you distribute it into the market. So there are several special needs for the craft which right now are not being met. And apart from, before I talk about the special needs, the location of the current Bidri shops or the historic shops are only a few, 2 or 3 in Kusumgali, which have been which do come under the heritage walks, but Bidri colony does not fall under it. And these are a few typologies. These typologies are from Bidri colony, from Kusumgali. This is the condition of the shops that they use right now. And a typical unit in Bidri colony, what the government built as part of the scheme, was a work shed, which is a semi-open space. Then there is a room and a toilet attached to it. That room has barely space to move, let alone live and produce the craft. Yet the artisans who have been able to generate revenue for themselves have expanded their spaces as per their need, who haven't been able to are still using the space as it is. This would be an ideal space for a workshop as explained by the artisans, that they would need an empty space in the center, and then all the peripheral activities, all the stages would go around the periphery. So this is a comparative analysis that historic habitat used to flourish more, and while the developmental intervention has been advantageous in terms of shelter and space, it also has its disadvantages in terms of space constraints, the location disadvantages, cluster development governance, as it does not fall under the Buda Urban Development Authority. There is no governance there. There is no development as such, infrastructural development as such. And then obviously there is an ecosystem of the community which is disturbed when they were working together. So these are a few maps of Bidri colony, where mostly it is residential and workshops, and there are a few other spots. The maps show that the roads are not pakka roads, they are not concrete roads, some of them are kacha roads. All the drains are open drains unless the artisan has money to cover the drains in front of their house. And similarly, typology also depends on the income of the artisan, how better can they build their own house. And so the Bidri colony was built in 3 parts. First was a DAP scheme, then was a Vishwa scheme, and then the today's space. So when you look at the stakeholders of the craft, it has to be looked at as the right holders are the artisans, are the community who are producing the craft. They are the right holders of the craft. So when you look at the stakeholder mapping, the artisans are connected to the craft, which is further connected to the village. So any stakeholder, that is, all of them are interwoven together and affect each of these 3. So coming to the values that could be threatened, use value is anyway there. The product is there, there'll be use. So that's extractive use value. But when you come to use value, due to the financial resources and lack of training and infrastructure, it does deplete. Similarly, non-use value, because now it is mass production and there's a lack of infrastructure, there's duplicate products, then the non-use value, the intangible value of it also comes down. So when you look at a model to better the craft or to help the people, the solution has to come from within the community, and for that it has to be a behavioral change. So the problems that broadly are as the lack of recognition, there's cultural values depleting because the artisans do not want to continue. The later generations do not want to continue the craft. And then the causes that are there, the policies aren't there, or the governance system is inadequate. Financial resources is a big problem. So in this, we can have 4 interventions which could be renewed policies according to what the artisans need now. Master plan, local area planning has to be upgraded so the craft cluster gets the recognition of a craft cluster and then gets the benefits of it. Could also be included in the historic urban landscape of the walled city so that the buffer area gets the advantages. And capacity building and training specifically to women, because the more I interacted with the artisans, they told me that women do not get opportunities except maybe 1 or 2 families. Similarly, there have to be incentivized opportunities for current generation to work upon the art, and it has to generate better revenue and better visibility in general for the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Parvati. Now I call upon Khushi Kesari to present her paper. Kindly give your paper title, and if you want, you can give a brief introduction.
Good afternoon, respected Chair, esteemed scholars and audience. I, Khushi Kesari, Program Officer at History Lab, Advanced Study Institute of Asia, thank INTACH for the opportunity to present my research. Since morning we have discussed a lot about crafts, and one thing which has come up again and again is looking inside and finding a solution rather than looking outside and adopting something which already exists. So my research over here focuses on looking inside rather than adopting something which is already existing outside. Cultural sites are living embodiments of traditions, knowledge and identities that connect generations. India's rich cultural heritage is deeply embedded in its social cultural practices of rural and semi-urban communities. However, globalization has brought opportunities and challenges. Preserving cultural heritage is vital for fostering community identity and continuity. One effective solution for which is slowly but rapidly gaining traction is the integration of geographical indications and craft-based tourism. GI certification authenticates traditional crafts tied to specific regions, while tourism transforms these crafts into immersive experiences, creating an ecosystem that sustains the cultural and economic vitality of heritage sites. Today I'll be discussing how GI and craft-based tourism can preserve cultural sites using 3 case studies, one of Pipli, one of Raghurajpur in Odisha and the other of Run of Kutch festival in Gujarat. So this brings us to the question, what exactly is geographical indication? Geographical indication is a vital intellectual property tool that links products to specific regions, safeguarding their authenticity and promoting economic development by preserving traditional craftsmanship and enhancing market reputation. Recognized globally under the frameworks like Paris Convention for Protection of Industrial Property and WTO STRIP Agreement, India has also implemented the Geographical Indications of Goods Act 1999 and has registered over 600 GI products across diverse categories such as handicrafts, agriculture and foodstuff. The GI registry ensures the protection and promotion of these region-specific products, encouraging producers to gain exclusive rights as authorized users. Government initiatives like Make in India and One District One Product, along with programs like Sufrithi, ONDC, bolster GI products by supporting skill development, market access and tourism-driven marketing strategies. But this again brings us to another question. How does tourism and GI come together to play a role in preserving heritage? Tourism is often seen as a tool for economic development, but it can also be a tool for cultural preservation. Culture-based tourism invites visitors to not just see a place, but to experience its soul, its craft, its stories and its traditions. It transforms cultural sites into vibrant, interactive spaces where heritage comes alive. Geographical indications and craft-based tourism play a pivotal role in preserving and protecting the cultural sites by not only safeguarding traditional crafts and promoting their sustainable development, but also acting as a means for the sustenance of a culturally rich site. By linking crafts to their geographical origin, GI ensures that sites like Pipli, Raghurajpur and Kutch retain their unique identities. When combined with craft-based tourism, GI further enhances the protection of cultural sites by transforming them into destinations of living heritage. Visitors engage with these sites on a deeper level, experiencing the histories and stories behind the crafts, observing artisans at work, and even participating in the creative process. Now, let us take up 3 case studies, starting with Pipli in Odisha. Pipli is a scenic village in Odisha's Puri district, which lies on National Highway 316, 20 kilometers from Bhubaneswar and 40 kilometers from Puri. And it is positioned on the pilgrimage route to Jagannath temple, which makes it a key cultural and economic hub. Deeply renowned for its centuries-old applique work tied to Jagannath temple Puri, has become a symbol for Odisha's cultural identity. Originally used to adorn chariots and ceremonial canopies for temple rituals, the craft gained global recognition with the GI tag in 2008, ensuring its authenticity and protecting it from imitation. Today, craft-based tourism has transformed Pipli into a vibrant cultural destination where visitors not only purchase these intricate creations but also engage with artisans in their workshops, witnessing the meticulous layering and stitching processes. This immersive experience sustains the livelihood of over 70% of the village's families while reinforcing the cultural significance of the Jagannath temple. Now let us move on to the second case study, which is Raghurajpur in Odisha. Raghurajpur, also known as India's first heritage village, is a picturesque, vibrant region and is located approximately 14 kilometers from Puri and 50 kilometers from Bhubaneswar. Raghurajpur is a living repository of art and tradition where every home doubles as an artist's studio. Renowned for its GI tagged Patachitra paintings, which depict intricate mythological stories tied to Jagannath temple rituals, the village also boasts mastery in paper mache masks, wooden carvings and palm leaf etchings. Tourism has transformed Raghurajpur into a hub of cultural exchange, with visitors engaging in storytelling, live demonstrations and workshops that deepen their connection to the craft. The GI tag has elevated Pathachitra's global profile, leading to a 250% to a 300% rise in artisans' income by reducing reliance on intermediaries and capturing premium markets. Government initiatives such as the Odisha's Rural Tourism Program and the Craft Village Program, along with festivals like Kunal Dance Festival and Puri Beach Festival, have further amplified Raghurajpur's visibility, creating a harmonious ecosystem where heritage preservation and economic growth thrive. Moving on to the final case study, which is of the Run Utsav or the Run of Kutch Festival. The Great Run of Kutch, one of the world's largest salt desert, transforms into a vibrant cultural hub during the annual Run of Kutch Utsav, a festival launched in 2005 under Gujarat's Vibrant initiative. The festival, featuring GI tagged crafts like Bandhani textile, Kutch embroidery, Ajrak print, attracts over 8 lakh visitors every year. It creates a unique cultural ecosystem where artisans gain global exposures and visitors engage deeply with Gujarat's heritage. The festival showcases authentic crafts, boosting the local economy by providing artisans with direct market access. The festival's economic impact extends to local artisans, many of whom report a 2 to 3-fold increase in income due to direct sales and international recognition. This economic upliftment has encouraged younger generations to engage with the traditional crafts, thereby ensuring their sustainability for the future. The promotion of local craft not only enhances tourist experiences but also safeguards intangible cultural heritage by linking it with modern economic opportunities. Artisans are now better equipped to navigate global markets through exposure and training, which the festival facilitates in collaboration with NGOs and government programs. Through its combination of art, music, dance and crafts, the Run Utsav has become a celebrated global event, promoting both cultural preservation and economic development. One thing common to all three of these is the very common and very important profound aspect of cultural based aspect of storytelling. Stories humanize craft. They link a piece of art or a textile to its origin, its creator and its cultural significance. In Pipli, the applique motif tells the story of Odisha's temple rituals, while in Raghurajpur, Pattachitra paintings bring mythological tales to life. And at the Run Utsav, crafts are woven into the broad story of Gujarat's identity. Storytelling deepens tourists' engagement and it creates a new sense of pride. Now let us move to the analysis. The beauty of combining GIs and culture-based tourism lies in its dual impact. The integration of GIs and craft-based tourism along with storytelling has proven to be an effective model for preserving cultural heritage and promoting economic growth. GI certification, while protects the authenticity of regional crafts, tourism amplifies this by offering immersive experiences, boosting artisans' incomes and fostering cultural exchange. These efforts revitalize social economies with significant gains in artisans' revenue and infrastructure development. What this also does in turn is that it motivates younger generation to take up crafts. In an interview with an artisan at Pipli, it was revealed that even though the kids go to school, they are always motivated to take up the crafts and learn. A similar case is also found in the category of Suf embroidery. Coming to the conclusion, GI certification protects the authenticity and increases the market. These efforts revitalize local economies with significant gains in artisans' revenue and infrastructure development. The integration can be a very transformative model which not only provides a means and a new way for preservation but also leads a way for economic growth. However, targeted policies, skill development programs and eco-friendly tourism practices are required so that these efforts can be maximized. Thank you.
Thank you, Khushi. Now I request the chairs, Dr. Madhura Dutta and Dr. Shahul Ameen, to kindly take up their chairs. Yeah, and the presenters as well. If you could all join us in the front for the question and answer discussion round.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you for the presentations and very interesting. I have specific questions for three of you. But before I get into the specific questions, I wanted to ask one broad question, is that if you have done this kind of a research, you must have looked at existing research and existing work that has happened in all these areas, because all three are very popular areas for research. So my question is, what do you think your research paper is adding to what exists already? What is it that you are bringing to the table in terms of the paper and with respect to what has already been done? That is my first question, and I can go to the specifics after that, but over to you.
You want to answer? Am I respond?
How do you want to do it? Yeah, maybe one.
So-
minute, it's easier.
Yeah. So I'm responding to Dr. Madhura Datta's the question that it's already, Tushar Kanjilal is very famous one who has done extensive research, and he has his organization there, and most of the time, this is a indigenous knowledge that I actually brought it forward. I have brought it forward in my paper, and most of the time what happened, those are the things which are actually being taken in consideration while the public policy is being implemented there in West Bengal for the Sundarbans. The knowledge that there is a local knowledge which is very important to preserving things or the protection purpose, and in my paper I would like to incorporate those issues which are actually, and it's very difficult, people who are living close to the embankment, it's the land acquisition policy in India, it's so very stringent rules, it's not very easy, but if you would like to protect Sundarban, you have to move people from the close to the embankment and to river to play while they are coming to at the time of tide. Otherwise, if you don't reclaim that, we call it a chore. Otherwise, it will be a very, very huge threat for the Sundarbans as well as Kolkata. It's a very new thing, and it's a if it is not the embankment is not shifted or the people is not being shifted close to the embankment, you have to have made an alternative approach, just like reclaiming the siltation through some kind of I have a model. I will develop that model in my paper, how to reclaim the whole chore to play the river while coming at the time of high tide. That is a ring road concept. It's a ring embankment concept. So step by step, just like in the hilly regions, this step by step, and the reclaiming that those siltation there, so that the chore can form.
Regarding Bidri, there has been a lot of research and study about the history of the craft and the craft processes, and why does the alloy get the black color out of the fort soil. But regarding the craft cluster or the people who are actually working, there is not much in depth that is being studied or being talked about, especially the craft cluster. It's not glorified, nobody knows about it. Yes, there are Bidri shops in the walled city, but other than that, if you go to some emporium, you will get the crafts. But the background of the spaces, the spatial study is not really talked about, or what the community, how the interventions have to happen at a community level, what has to happen within the people is not discussed much.
So in terms of my research, despite the fact that we already have a model around a crafts village, it is not as commonly implemented as it should be. We say that most of India's culture resides in its village, and despite the fact that we say this, the number of government initiatives or the number of initiatives that are being undertaken even by NGOs is very less as compared to the cultural expanse that we have. So the reason why I took this specific topic was because while we already have a model, we can take inspiration from that and we can start implementing it at different places. Instead of copying a model from outside the country, instead of looking at, okay, what is Europe doing, what is America doing, what is any other Western country doing, we can look inwards and take inspiration from, nearby states, nearby villages, that, okay, they are doing this thing, maybe this model might work for us. And even if it does not work for us, there might be something which can work for us. So that is what my paper tries to do.
Yeah. Hello. It's very interesting papers and take and cases. In all respect, it deserve a lot of appreciation. While you're presenting, no, I was just thinking all these three presentations. What are the things one could say in common? There are elements of common concerns you're asking in these presentations, especially the intangible aspect is coming in these all three presentations. What is interesting, even Asim is talking, right? It's not just a matter of certain material articulation of the people, the skill set of, or the manner in which you handle the situation of crisis. It's really coming up, especially in the case of Bidar. Also, you can see, for example, displacement. You're talking about the communities being asked to move out of the geography they stayed, and now they're part of a multi-craft space. They replaced and all. So in this situation, how the intangibility is carrying forward, it's a very interesting thing you are talking about. So my specific kind of comments on this all three presentations, Asim's presentation is very novel in its aspects, because often we get to know the experts, the so-called experts are talking about the culture, and he has a lived experience in this island, and informed kind of engagement is coming from his lived experience. In research we call it auto research, auto ethnography in that sense. So but what I'm thinking, you can expand this kind of thinking by critically engaging with ongoing conservation effort, right? Not just the tangible heritage conservation, natural. For example, now we often talk about nature culture linkage, or intangibility of the tangible heritage. Those all discussions or discourses are going on in the form of charters, academic debates, and all. I think if you critically engage with, and as in the morning session we found that there are limitations of these charters and studies, and you say why your way of seeing things is unique and novel. I think that is the one way you can work out further in this. Regarding Parvati's paper, what I found is Parvati's paper. It's Parvati has presented a Ender project, right? So what is what I think in that is need not be a format of a paper, right? Paper can be an argument. One argument is a court kind of a situation. You want an argument, you substantiate that argument. You need not to have this much of content for that. You have to, don't sell all your egg in one box. You have 2-3 papers coming out of it. What I personally, being a sociologist and all, I'm interested this question of displacement you talked about, right? A craft community got displaced to one place to another. So there's a very interesting question of the intangible craft tradition and development induced displacement, right? So something like one question you can put forward rather than presenting all under your project, so then it can be a wonderful paper. I could see in that. So you can cull out a very striking, and see often what happen, with even my presentation also in the morning, it's happened like we ended up in lot of descriptions, like our papers become very descriptive account, right? What is that analytically, what is your standing, what your in all this presentation, even in the morning my presentation also, it became a bit descriptive in nature. But with this description, what actually you're going to tell to the people, right? Are you saying, for example, this method, in his case, this method is superior than the conservation architecture? So some kind of engagement is important. That is what I think. Regarding Khushi's paper is very interesting. The three important cases she's analyzing, two in Orissa and one is in Gujarat. The one thing, GI tag. What I found, what you could have developed in this paper, a little bit of a critical lens, Khushi, in the sense, for example, you say, for example, GI tag, right? It is you. I could see GI tag. You see in a very positive, with a very positive turn in it, right? GI tag, for example, imagine many people are practicing a particular act, and only few will get that tag, and only few get. I know because I closely work in the context of Kutch. Kutch also, there are multiplicity of practices. Every practices may not get the GI tag, right? So there is an inclusion exclusion involved in that, right? And also, what is the, while this kind of interventions are happening, what are the kind of challenges people are actually facing, right? In terms of livelihood, in terms of preserving their heritage, things like that. I think a little bit of critically look into the interventions. I think that part is can make your paper more efficient and effective, because at the end of the day, you are, for example, in Parvati's paper, she's drawing a space for the community. It's after understanding all the crises. She say this workspace is important to come up with. So similarly, you can also think what are the kind of critical problems and interventions one could think about. That's all about all these presentation. Thank you very much. Interesting.
If you have any comments,
Yeah.
Speaking too lengthy.
address.
Thank you, Dr. Shahul, and thank you, Dr. Madhura, for their observation and comments. I would like to say that he was talking about tangibility and the intangibility of what is going on, and how to implement, how to preserve and protect what is there already. I know there are some steps taken by state government and as well as also central government right now. There are in the NAC processes is going on in the colleges, and there are sometimes there is a one area that distinctiveness of the college, or the situatedness of the college or the institution, situatedness. And then sometime those are the festivals, those are the jatras, those are the bonobibis, pujas, those are the things they are incorporating in their accreditation processes. So that is one way, the departure from the the colonial studies and the post-colonial understanding of the things that the whole region coming past actually, and that is what the people do know about Sundarban through the lens of Amitabh Ghosh's novel, that is Hungry Tide, Morijhapi issues. But right now, if you really love Sundarban, come to Sundarban, live with the Sundarban people, and it is more than 1 crore people living there, and try to understand their cultures, and then only you are an insider, and then only can tell you, or you can pass the judgments about the Sundarban. So Sundarban is a huge place, interesting place. You come there, you shock the culture there, and then you will be it's such a rich experience if you ever venture Sundarbans. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. We have got
Thank you for your comment, sir. So just wanted to add one thing, that since there was a paucity of time, I did not include the challenges in my presentation. One of the biggest challenges that almost every craft in our country faces is that of counterfeiting. There are a lot of cheap machine-made products being made and sold in the name of traditional crafts. And that one thing hampers all crafts. It's not just limited to GI products, but it hampers any kind of jewelry, it hampers any kind of textile that might exist. So that is one challenge which I have addressed in my paper, but thank you for the comment, and next time I will include it.
Do you have any comment? Thank you. So can I go to the next? So I think for Asim, you have already answered what would have been my question. I think it is, I would just like to make I would just like to contextualize all of your research, which are actually very important in the current context, but probably you are addressing those in the papers, but just to make, in a broader context. So for Asim, I think in your presentation, it was not very clear as to what you were trying to do, but what you explained is actually extremely valuable and important, because right now the whole dialogue is shifting towards climate change, because everybody is facing climate change, and these are globally people are looking at indigenous knowledge and trying to see how, and trying to establish, especially the intangible cultural heritage people or the people who are working with indigenous knowledge and with communities, to establish the fact that that is also fully scientific and that has to be integrated and learned from, and that is not a lesser knowledge system. So and people are looking for data, people are looking for case studies to sort of support that argument. So I think it would be very valuable once your paper comes up, and if it addresses the larger dialogue of climate change, what is happening in COP29, what is being planned in COP30, for example. All these are linked to ideas and contexts where the people who are actually working on them have no idea about how intangible cultural heritage can contribute to these processes. So that is I would say it's a very valuable thing for the sector and for the larger context. For Bidri, again, it's a very nice research, and I mean, because a craft is always evolving and changing, it is always good to do the research at different points of the timeline to see how things have changed. I would just like to sort of mention that, see, for example, these kinds of crafts are basically home-based crafts, and artisans are basically work from homes. Those are the most comfortable spaces where they want to work in. If you tell that artisan to come and work in a factory, they will not come. If you want them to come and work in a common facility center that government does, there also they will not come. So the whole point of analyzing space and a common space is for what? I think that would be a valuable thing, and I think I also asked that question because there are so many the idea that you're talking about is the scheme of government of the common facility center, but I mean, what is the utility of a common facility center anywhere? So you know what Shahul was saying, the critical analysis of that probably also makes, for us, it makes it more interesting that how it has evolved to say maybe they do not want to sit in their homes and work, maybe they want to come out. So the aspirations also change, you know, of the younger generations. I think that in that context that is very important. So just wanted to contextualize it in the way we look at it. And for GI, as you said, you're already looking at the challenges. So that's great, but I think the whole problem with geographical indication in our country is not about geographical indication tagging. It is about using geographical indication in the right manner, and the fact that places where artisans and artists have got geographical indication for their spaces are not GI users. They have to register for being a GI user legally, otherwise they cannot get the benefit of GI. So there's a whole mix-up on this, and hardly anybody registers for GI, and then they don't renew GI, and then they have no clue how to use GI. So I'm sure you have looked at these things in your research, but if these case studies can really inform the the larger audience as to how they have succeeded in that, then I think that can be a great learning for the audiences overall. So I'm just trying to put those in the context from which we look at it. But if any of you have questions, there are not much audience, but
Only speakers.
only speakers.
Just one comment. Madhura's important, observation regarding, climate change and all these global warming issues, and Sundarban is not, exception of that. And what we know about Sundarban, the extreme, western part of the Sundarban is Ganga Sagar and the Ganga Sagar Mela, Kopil Muni Mandir, Kopil Muni temple, and the Ganga Sagar Mela ground, because of the rising of sea level, and after Yas, the cyclone, so whole Mela ground has been destroyed. Now this January onwards, that January 12 onwards, there will be another Ganga Sagar Mela, but the space of Ganga Sagar Mela is so constricted because whole Kopil Muni Mandir is under threat because the sea is coming up. And that's a huge issue, the climate changes, and the question of displacement, question of shifting of people from closer to rivers, closer to Bay of Bengal, the sea. It's happening there, and there are so many islands like Ghodamara Islands and the other islands. Those are actually not in the map right now. Okay, so people are being evacuated from there, and they are being rehabilitated in elsewhere elsewhere of the islands. So the other things. So thank you all.